Yeah, when we began the COTS acquisition, the question was collectively across the agency how we wanted to actually make that occur, or what we wanted to do, and how we wanted to implement that. So, we could have done traditional contracts. We could have done a CRADA. We could have done a funded Space Act agreement. We could have done a cooperative agreement notice. There's many varieties of contracting mechanisms we could have used to go do this. I think we kind of all got together as a collective team, and we looked at what you could get from a funded Space Act, and the teams down at JSC and the Exploration Systems Mission Director looked at all those. I looked at them as well, and it seemed that that was probably the most flexible instrument that we could put together to go do this activity. The other thing that was unique was we weren't sure, was there really private sector interest in this, and would it be just a solely NASA function, or was there some investment opportunity that the private sector would do? So a unique aspect of this wasn't only just the technical kind of activity we wanted out of this, but we also wanted to make sure that the contractor had the ability, or not the contractor, but the Space Act recipient had the ability to acquire the finances to continue with this development activity. So there were financing milestones in the Space Act agreement, as well as the technical milestones that you would typically expect in one of these activities. So it was a pretty ingenious way to kind of tease out, was the market really ready to go do this, and was the technical capability and the expertise in the industry really ready to go do it. So at this point, I don't think we had an assurance that there was going to be a product or a capability that would come out of this. It was a way that we could invest, a reasonable amount of money and see if there was enough kind of possibilities and enough expertise and interest on the industry side to actually make this happen and work. If you remember, there were a couple Space Act participants, and ESMD made those selections, and they added several. And again, I think it was because we weren't exactly sure how this process was going to work and what the response would be. If you remember way back when, Rocket Plane Kistler got chosen as one of the companies, and then later they fell out of this competition because they were not able to show that they were meeting their financial milestones. In other words, they had maybe a reasonable technical concept, but it didn't appear that there was going to be enough actual financing backing behind them that could actually move forward. And you can go look at the record of how that all went. There were some protests associated with that, but that's also a good learning to go back and see how that worked. But by the fact that we had several providers chosen at the beginning, we didn't have to just stay with one. We could actually watch this industry mature, watch the development activities happen, and move forward. So that was kind of the portion of the COTS program and some of the logic that went behind selecting multiple providers.